Let's go up here to the fork. You want to go balance there in the back for me a little bit? Just kind of keep an eye on it. In the fork, when I come up to a bike, I'll turn the wheel to the right. You can let go a little bit. And I let it tip to me, and I pull the brake. And I want to feel some free sag. This is just what I'm doing if somebody brings me their bike at the track. I want to make sure they haven't missed this, right? If they ain't got 20 millimeters of free sag, I send them off. Go, you know, we either do that or we move a knob, or if somebody screwed something up inside the fork, we got to take it apart or whatever, right? Whatever's got to be done. Without the free sag, the bike will never work right. It'll, bikes without a free sag in the fork wobble, they'll shake. They're dangerous cresting hills. Anytime you're cresting, anybody ride at VIR ever? Mid-Ohio. Any place where you're cresting hills, and it's even worse when leaned over. If your bike doesn't have that free sag for that wheel to be able to reach out and find the ground, that's when they skate. They're wheels looking for the ground. All right? So wobbles and all kinds of things result. So quick check for free sag. I know it's there. You know it's there because you've just worked at setting your sag. Now we want to set our damping adjustments. Here's my handy dandy screwdriver. The fork is way easier to see and way easier to work with because you're pushing on way less, it's easier, way less force here, right? We'll grab the brake, and what we want to do is push really hard. I mean, you practice stroking, try and push hard down into the bottom of the stroke, right? You want to get as much of that thing as possible, all right? Now what you want to do is push, hold the brake, but relax your arms so that you can watch it act, but not interfere with how it wants to act, okay? Now, what we're looking for again is an extremely quick return. And we want the fork to snap back as quickly as possible, but not do this oscillation thing, okay? So, let me show you what too slow looks like. Actually, what you just saw was too slow, right? You'll crash like that, I guarantee it, right? You'll just go crash, so we don't want that. Half, you know, we're going to go out half, one. See this bike touch the top and just want to settle? That's pretty good to me, where I would go take it out onto the track. Now, let me show you some examples of this, what it would look like if I had it way too fast. All right, now I'm going to show you an example of what this fork will look like when we've set it to rebound way too fast, right? We're just going to back these adjusters way out. Now just watch it oscillate, right? See the bike just... Now this is kind of what stock street stuff will do. They come with really light rebound damping rates, and you can kind of crank them up, but a lot of times they won't do much. Now same thing again, you can get a better comprehension of your suspension if you'll feel it in the top, feel kind of what the low speed rebound is doing. This is more what your adjuster's doing, but then when you really bury it, you're looking at what's the valving doing, what's the shim stack doing, okay? So let's get an idea back to, let me show you. If you set it to where it rebounds just as quickly as possible and doesn't settle at all, I found that's almost too tight usually, and it's not where I recommend starting. I like them to just settle just a hair, right? So kind of something just like that maybe. And this almost feels slow to me right now, and it's kind of a little chilly in the warehouse. If it was me, I might back this baby out a little more, right, before I sent this person out. Just like that, right? We want a nice quick return, very light settle, right, if anything. Now, remember, damping, less is more, less is more, less is more. You got to train yourself to think that way, right? It's hard when, like I said, it's hard for American mentality. If we can crank it up, we're going to go faster, right? So, but avoid that tendency. Because particularly in the world of rebound damping, less is not more. Now, what's going to be our symptoms of not enough rebound damping? In a shock, it's almost impossible for somebody to show me where they don't have enough rebound damping. The only instances that I've ever heard, and I've only seen 2 or 3 people do this, and this was on a shock that was extremely, extremely, extremely loose, this is top level pro guy, like Michael Barnes, formerly USA champion. He's able to get the back tire to dribble a little bit in the middle of a turn, but it's almost impossible. You'll never come across somebody complaining because they don't have, they have too much rebound in the shock. Now, or not enough, I'm sorry. In the fork, not enough rebound. when you're driving along in a straight line and you're braking hard and you're trailing the brake into the turn, the front wheel will bounce under the bike. Okay? Now, when you get a front wheel chatter or a back wheel chatter, what you want to do is try and figure out what the cause of it is. Now, one of the simplest ways I do to figure this out is here, make a fist. Let me see your hand. That one. Make a fist. There you go. If when you're holding your handlebar and your bike's chattering and you feel it like this in your hand, you've got too tight of a spring or too tight a compression damping in the fork. If you got a hold of the handlebar, you know the wheel's dribbling under the bike, but you can't really, nothing's going on up here. That's not enough rebound damping in the fork. You can put that down now. So, so you that's kind of when you mentally want to divide it, right? If you're getting it up in up your spine from the back of your bike, something's too stiff back there. It's not soaking bumps, right? If you had a triple adjustable shock, you'd back out a little high speed, right? But hopefully you've got the right spring rate, you've got your free sag, so on and so forth. Then you would just know that I need to go for my compression adjuster to soften the shock to get it to soak bumps better, right? So you're trying to separate those things as to, is it something going up or is it something coming down? And that's where you want to divide it, okay? Has anybody ever felt that feeling where the wheel's dribbling? You got a hold of the bars and the wheel's dribbling under the bike, but your vision's not shaking or your helmet's not shaking, you got a hold of it. Anybody who's ridden an SV has probably felt this, right? So that's kind of what we're looking for there. And if you can get your fork to look like this, you just won't have that problem. Now, too slow a rebound, too much rebound damping in the fork, all right, can make your bike wobble, all right, because it's going to hold it down. It's called packing down. Too much damping will actually make your fork work like it's going down a set of stairs, doop, 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 and it'll just stay down there, get sucked down and held in the bottom of the stroke. That's where the spring pressure is high and where there's very little travel left, and the fork will just get stiff, right? Because the spring down there in the bottom is stiff, and the fork's not responding, okay? So we want that thing to be able to relax and come back to its normal attitude, right? And be ready to soak another bump, not get sucked down and stay down in the bottom of the stroke, right? So, excuse me. Too much rebound damping will make a bike search for the ground anytime the pavement drops away. So if you're cresting even a light hill, and even if you're straight up and down going straight, like coming out of over what used to be the wheelie hill at Road Atlanta, right? Anytime or going down the back straight there now, you've got headed towards 10A and 10B, the bike starts hunting and looking for the ground. If we know that we've got the proper free sag and proper spring rates, I'd go straight for the rebound adjuster, right? Because I know that front wheel can't find the ground. I'm headed down the hill and the bike's looking for the ground. It can't find it. So I'd loosen that up. Typically hilly tracks, we run less rebound in the fork. It's one of the only things we'll really ever tune for a track for is just a little less rebound in a fork, okay? If you're on flat tracks, you can get away with having a little more rebound, all right? Now, as far as compression damping goes, same thing, we're looking for a firm feeling. Now it's hard to describe and hard to even demonstrate here. If you want to feel it some, a simple way is to ride your bike along 5 or 10 miles an hour and get a dab of the brake, get a little good grip of the brake, and you want the front to kind of dive. But what we're looking for is a firm controlled dive, right? We don't want it to go, drop, dramatically. You shouldn't instantly have the back wheel come up, right? It should be a firm controlled dive. And you can feel this by, getting a sensation of what your adjuster does by backing it way out and doing this test. And it will drop. It might even bottom. Your back wheel will probably pop up a little bit in the air, right? And you'll feel, oh boy, that's nothing, right? And then pin it. And when you pull the brake, it won't do much, In fact, if you had really stiff suspension, you could almost plow the front wheel some, So you just get an idea of what the sensations are of the ranges, okay? But what we're looking for, again, if you have professionally built suspension, somebody's going to give you the baseline, the middle, the bell curve where everybody rides at, right? And then you can tune from there to suit your needs, stiffer or softer.